We are live for a brand new free training. One of the cool perks of being part of this incredible community is that you get live trainings that no, we're not posting anywhere else, and that no other Facebook community that is completely free of charge will do. So yeah, we're gonna bring you some heat today. Always, hopefully, over deliver, and we're gonna be talking about how to sign your first SMA client with no results. Right? Absolutely zero track record, no results. You're literally just getting started in the space. How do you sign that first client? I know this is a big obstacle. This is a big roadblock, big limiting belief for a lot of people getting started. So I've got my man here, Tal. How's it going?
It's going good. Got the Top Gun stash. It's rocking. It's fresh.
And he hasn't even watched the movie, so I haven't either, by the way. But yeah, without further ado, we're gonna get right into it. So yeah, this is a common thing that we see a lot, right? Which is how to send the first client without any results. The first thing you need to understand, without, I'm not getting into a tactical, you guys are going to get a lot of value bombs. So you're going to be able to walk away with tangible advice and tangible tips that you can implement right away into your agencies to start signing clients. But the first thing you need to understand is that we all start somewhere, okay? That as much as you think you are the exception, you're not, all right? And so as humans, we are, it's actually wired to believe that we are always the exception. Like every time someone tells you like, 98% of people do this, right? You always think you're in the 2%, right? We always think we are the exception to the rule, when in reality you're probably not, just by statistical data. So you're probably not the exception, okay? And we all start somewhere. The vast majority of people start an agency without having gotten results in the past, and this is actually a good thing, right? Because a lot of people think that they need to generate results before they start an agency. They need to maybe go down the freelancing route. Maybe they need to start as a media buyer first, right? And then transition into the agency route. And that's just the wrong way to go about it, because you are going to be wasting a lot of time when essentially you can start right away, right? So before I get into the tangible, tactical advice, do you have anything to add to this, Tal, from a mindset belief standpoint?
From my mindset belief, no, we're really just getting started is the first thing you can do to conquer that limiting belief that you probably have in the beginning. That's what I did in the beginning, and that it really does. It's really freeing once you get a little bit of that speed behind you.
100%. And look, the reason why these are valuable is because I've been in the space for quite a while now, right? I've been in the space for close to 4 years now, which is a lot, okay, if you do a lot, right? Tal is more recent, so we can kind of compare and contrast. And he's been through that very initial journey and very initial process, just a year ago at this point. So yeah. Did you ever have those doubts, like starting out, where was this one of the questions that maybe you asked yourself, like, how am I going to sign this client if I don't have any results?
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, I started last March. I found you on YouTube, and as I was talking to those first few clients and reaching out and hiring my media buyer, oh yeah, I always thought why? How am I doing this? And actually, my first several clients I signed kind of back to back, so I kind of went through this first client thing multiple times, if that makes any sense, because really I signed them both within a week, and I was talking to them before. So most definitely, man, I've went through a lot of the limiting beliefs and whatnot that a lot of beginners go through, and it's very fresh in my mind still.
Yeah. So a few things that you want to avoid. Okay, we're going to start with the absolute don'ts. All right, we're going to start with the absolute don'ts. Then the things that are unconventional that we do, that a lot of people say to do, but you shouldn't do in reality. Okay, so they're not the absolute don'ts, but you probably shouldn't do them because they don't quite work as expected. And the absolute yeses, right? Like, you should be doing this instead. Okay, so absolute don'ts, right? A lot of people think that the way to get started and the way to sign this first client is to work for free. All right, just work for free. I've heard Gary Vee talk about this a bunch of times, and look, full respect to Gary Vee, but quite frankly, in the vast majority of cases, especially with an agency, you don't have to do it. Okay, you don't have to do that. In fact, it sets you up for failure. Okay, in fact, it could be preventing you from signing those big deals. Okay, for no reason at all. Okay, so understand that you don't have to work for free. In fact, every single time I see people, I think I'm hearing myself on your end, I think. But every single time I see people trying to work for free, it backfires, right? Because your perceived value just drops completely, right? So it is very important that you don't work for free, especially to attract those higher end clients, especially for e-commerce, right? For local business, this sort of shenanigans may work, right? Because local businesses are a bit of a different breed. But when it comes to e-com businesses, where you should be charging decent retainers, like good fat retainers, 2, 3, 4, 5K, right? Fixed retainers, maybe a percentage of that profit. You don't want to do free trials, all right? So that's really the first thing to understand, that a free trial drops, lowers your perceived value. So that's the first thing, right? Not only that, but because you are doing it for free, it actually robs you of you, because a lot of people think, oh, just be, if I'm free, by definition, it should be a super easy sale, right? And so they don't put in the work into understanding what is the process to results, into piecing together a really cool offer for their specific sub niche, right? So it robs them because they think that just magically, because they're working for free, they're going to attract some sort of prospect, right? And people want to pay for expertise. People actually want to spend their money. Will you believe it? People actually want to spend their money on experts, right? I have a lot of people nowadays come to me and they're like, I'll work for free, right? I'll work for free. I'll intern for free. I'll do whatever you want me to do, right? And quite frankly, I never take those on. In fact, I did, right? And it worked out. It didn't quite work out early on in my journey, right? So it never works out because people want to pay for expertise. To a founder, right? It is way more costly to hire someone, right, completely for free, because by definition they think that because it's free, it doesn't have much perceived value. So they're gonna have to take time out of their day to maybe train you, right? They're gonna also, it's the opportunity cost of not having someone that can do the job, right? And it's just all in all a mess, right? Business owners want to spend money if they know that that money is going to make them more money, right? They don't want to take a gamble or have massive opportunity costs on taking a gamble on this person that is trying to work for free, when if they don't think that's going to get them a return. So understand that this crutch of working for free is not going to serve you. It doesn't serve the client well, right? Because your perceived value drops and they're less likely to hire you as a result of that. And it doesn't serve you well, right? Simply because it you think it's a crutch, right? But it doesn't actually serve you because you don't actually do the work you should be doing to create an offer that someone actually wants to buy. So that's really the first absolutely don't that I want to talk about.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I mean, it brings us to like one of the main do's, like do this, have a process to results. Because if you have that, these business owners are going to see, hey, this guy is not going to waste my time. Basically, everything that would go wrong if you're offering yourself for free, it's going to go right if you do have a process to results and a solid offer.
Yeah. I just got off a student interview with Gabby, Tao, you know her. She's been able to scale her agency past 10K per month, and she did it in like 3 months. She said so, and we're talking about this, right? The fact that this whole thing, I mean, working for free is an absolute don't, right? But even the money back guarantees, the very crazy, like irresistible, quote unquote, offers, right, that people do is oftentimes is a crutch that doesn't serve them, right? Because they think that their offer, right, their attraction is the money back guarantee, is working for free, is we don't get paid until we get your results, right? And I'm not saying you cannot use those, but it cannot be your whole thing, right? It cannot be the crutch that you support yourself on, right? Your process to results for a specific sub niche, right? And the way you relate that offer to the client is what's actually going to get them on board. Makes sense? And I feel like a lot of people use these crutches as their offer, and it backfires on them because it raises a lot of. I mean, I'm on sales calls a bunch of times, right? Like hiring for the agency, maybe if I'm looking to buy a mentorship, a mastermind, whatever it is, right? And if the offer that they're making me is way too reliant on a money back guarantee on whatever it is, it raises a few flags for me, right? Because it shouldn't, it shouldn't, like the talking should be done, right? And the offer should be sold based on the value that it's going to be able to provide me, right? Not just on some money back guarantee or like working for free or whatever that is.
Yeah, I've never seen that work well for anybody that makes that their main offer. I've seen people do it many times, but they're not the people like Gabby scaling to 10K plus per month.
Yeah. So that's the first big red flag and the first, the first not to, right? The second thing you need to understand about these sort of questions and like essentially not having results is that you only get asked about your past clients, about your results, if your sales goals, if that sales goal hasn't gone the way you should have done it, right? And that is completely fine at the start because you're not the most skilled salesperson and you need to get the reps in. But understand that when you actually have all the case studies in the world, when you actually have all the testimonials, when you've worked with a bunch of clients, they never ask right? Like who you've worked with, who you've worked with, your case studies, and et cetera, right? And I find that very interesting, right? Because that is a sign that as long as you have, as long as you do your sales well, right, and as long as you have a genuine conversation with that prospect, and the prospect sees that you know what you're talking about, right, and you have a very predictable way that you can get them results, and you know your shit, right, there, that question doesn't actually come up, right? So that objection doesn't really come up for me, for the first client that I actually signed. And I have, you can go to my YouTube video, and I've got to my YouTube channel, and I've got a YouTube video reacting to my first ever client signing, right? And I think that's a lot of people have found a lot of value in that. So you can just search it up on my YouTube channel. But on that sell, you can see that she doesn't really ask about my previous clients, right? We just talk about the offer, and we just essentially in the end we find a win-win. But my point is, it comes to show, right, from someone who has been quite a few years in the space now. I can tell you that when you have all the case studies, all the testimonials, all the social proof you could ever hope for, at the end of the day, the value I provide on these calls, right, and the way I carry myself on these calls carries the sale way more than the social proof I've got.
It does, man. I've been that's something I've noticed as I've gotten better at sales. I used to get asked those questions all the time, and I'd be so nervous to answer those in the beginning. But as I got better and better at sales, those questions less and less and less. Especially if you do a good job understanding who you're talking to, having just that genuine conversation, providing them a ton of value along the way, then it's a shoo-in.
So to do a little recap, right? We've talked a little bit about the major red flags that you want to avoid, like, for example, working for free. We've talked a little bit about also the things that are a little bit, conventional, that are thrown around in the space, that shouldn't be at least the primary focus of a sales call, and that are not necessarily going to serve you any better to sign that first client, which are the money back guarantees and all this stuff, right? We've talked a little bit about the do's, which have a very predictable process to results that you can show them, that is based on what the top competitors in that specific niche within e-commerce are doing, right? So for example, if you're doing the cosmetic space or the apparel and fashion space, you should know what the top competitors are doing when it comes to their ads, their funnel, and their offers, right? So now, and that actually leads me to the next thing, which is a do, right, that you should be doing, which is, it pays. Essentially, one of the main reasons why they want to see if you've worked with any brand is because they want to see if you understand their space, right? So when you get an objection on a sales call, you shouldn't really attack the objection. You should attack the reason why they're asking that question, right? Because oftentimes the question is just surface level, but there's a deep rooted reason why they're asking that question. You want to tap that, right? Not so much the actual question, right? And so what they want to see when they ask that is, number one, does this person know what they're talking about? And number two, do other people, or would other people trust this person in this specific space, right? And so that is why I'm so bullish on picking a specific niche within e-commerce, because when you pick a specific niche within e-commerce, when you narrow down into a specific space, whether it's the tech space, sustainable, vegan, whatever it is, right? You can become an authority in that space. You can know a lot about that space, right? You can name drop, doing your sales call, you can name drop a few of the competitors that are crushing it in that space, some of the things that they're doing. And so when you do this during the call, it's kind of like a little humble brag that you know your shit, right? That you understand their space like no one else, like no other agencies can understand their space, right? And so understand that is way more valuable than if they were to ask you, for example, because a lot of agencies do this, right? If they were to ask you for a case study and you gave them a case study from like a year ago in a complete different space, that case study wouldn't serve them very well either, right? Anyways, so a lot of agencies do this. Like they'll have like case studies from like 2 years ago that they've cherry picked on for a complete different client. The clients, the clients you send them that case study to, they don't really give a shit, right? Every single time I've had, and I did this at the very early on because I didn't know, as much what I was doing. But every time I had a client early on and they told me, oh, just send me a case study. And I sent them the case study. They never actually read it. They never even opened it. All right. And it comes to show you that they don't really care so much about the case study. They don't have time to really go through the case study. What they care about is understanding that their space like no one does, that their space as well as they do. Right. And so having that understanding of their sub niche will prevent this objection even coming up. Right. And that's one of the best things and most important things that you can do with objections is prevent them from coming up, prevent them from, the best way to deal with them is to prevent them from coming up in the first place. Right. And so the way to prevent them from coming up is making sure that they understand that your shit when it comes to that specific sub niche within e-com.
And if they do come up, like Jaime just said, go deeper, go to the core of the issue. I've actually never sent any prospect or client a case study ever. So living example that you don't have to have case studies to close clients. My first 2 clients, I proved to them that I knew so much about their industry. They're 2 rock climbing companies. So for a long time in the call, we just talked about climbing.
Mm-hmm. And so you solved that pain point for them, right? You solved what they were trying to get out of the case study, which was, does this person know what they're talking about, right? Will other people trust this person? If they already see that, they don't, you've already solved that pain point for them, right? I think that's a great leeway, though, into the final thing that you must do, right? If it does come up, right? So let's just say you've forgotten everything that we've talked about in this free training, right? And it does come up, right? So they ask you for the case study. Another thing that clients are trying to do with this question is put you on the spot, is what I call this a shit test, right? And so the reason why I say this is because I've seen this time and time again, right? When a prospect asks this question, 99% of newbie agency owners will just shit themselves. And you'll see it in their face, right? Their face will just go wide. They'll freeze and they'll be like, holy shit, this is it. I thought I was, you had already imagined that Stripe notification, right? You had already imagined moving into a new apartment with that new 3K per month retainer. You already imagined, telling your family, friends about it. And then boom, you just freeze and you go, holy shit. That whole idea, that whole image that I had in my head, done, right? And that is precisely when you lose, okay? So oftentimes they don't even want to see the case study. They just want to see how you react to that question to test your congruence, right? And oftentimes, even if you carry out the sale perfectly, right, they will, some prospects that you speak to will still shit test you, right, to see if you're truly about it, right? And when they test you, even if you have no results, what you must do is absolutely, I can share with you a case study. In fact, I'm not going to go ahead and cherry pick. I'm going to show you not only results that we're getting for clients, but I'm going to actually walk you through the strategy that we use for this client, so you can take a little bit of value away from it, right? And I'm going to do that right now. So let me explain how this works, right? You never want to. So number one, you react positively, right? Boom, you meet it with confidence. You don't freeze, right? You meet it with confidence. Yeah, absolutely. Do you want me to walk you through it right now? We can do it right now. The second thing you want to do is you want to have a little presentation ready, right? So you can actually use your media buyer with their permission. You can use their past results for an e-com client of theirs, and you can go ahead and put in a presentation. And the primary focus of that presentation shouldn't just be the results, right? You should do a little bit of storytelling around what got them that results, right? What got them those results, so that it takes a little bit of weight from the actual screenshot or the case study, right? It's not like we're trying to deceive them or anything like that. It's just that we're trying to make sure that the primary focus isn't on just the results, right? And what you want to do is show them right there and then, right? Walk them through that little presentation right there and then. There's absolutely you should not be walking away from a call, right, without, number one, a specific outcome. Yes, no, follow-up, right? Or, and absolutely no, you should never be walking away from a call, promising that you're going to send a case study after. Because if you do that, they're never going to read it, and be assured that even if the case study is the best case study in the world, you're never going to close that client. They're on to better and brighter things. So you want to make sure that you walk them through that little presentation, and you walk them through that case study, explaining it to them, right? So you have complete control over the narrative and the framing, right? And then boom, done. Any other questions? Any other objection? Come at me, right? You want to make sure that you cover that objection right there and then, right? Because otherwise you're not, it really is. If you freeze, you're done, right? But also if you meet it with confidence and you promise to send them the case study after without any resolution on that call, you're also done, right? So make sure that you meet it in that way if it does come to it, right? If it does come to the objection of do you have any case studies?
Yeah, even as you say that, Jaime, that question can be such a turning point for a call, because really, like you were saying, tell a story around it. They're not so interested in the actual results you achieved. I was on a call the other day for about 45 minutes with an ex-Apple employee, like a Silicon Valley Apple employee. And it really kind of drives home, because he was asking me a bunch of questions about things. He didn't care about how much money something was, how much money we made a previous person, this or that. What he cared about was how we thought about things and our process to results, which is exactly the story you can tell when you're asked that question. If you handle that question well, that simple question, do you have any case studies? You can either go ghost white like I did the first few times, or you meet it with confidence, tell a story, and that's going to set you up in a whole nother league of your own. Super powerful right there.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a good place to wrap it up, right, Tal?
Yeah.
And also you add to it. I think what I'm going to do is a little recap. Unless you have anything else to add to this.
No, I think the recap is good. You know, they really need to soak in all the points we talked about.
So first of all, absolute don't just think that because you're doing this service for free that you're going to be able to overcome this and be able to sign the first client with no results, because that actually sets you up for failure more than it does anything else. Okay, so that's the first absolute no. The other few things that you want to avoid that may make sense, but in reality they don't work as well as you would think, are just purely relying on things like money back guarantee, purely relying on things like we'll work with you for free as your primary like offer, right? That should never be your offer. It raises a lot of red flags for founders, raises them for me when I'm jumping on sales calls. And so ask yourself if, oftentimes like the best way to figure something out is ask yourself, if this was presented to me, would I buy into this? Simple as that, right? If you wouldn't, your prospect is probably not going to, right? So that's the first thing, right? So these are the things to avoid. The things to do is make sure that you narrow down into a specific sub-niche, right? And you have a very predictable process to results, which is something that we go into a lot of depth on the actual mentorship and way more. But also make sure that your knowledge of that sub-niche is pretty good, right? Because one of the main reasons why this question may come up of case studies and what is your track record is because they haven't seen that understanding and that knowledge of their space, right? You should understand their space like no other agency out there, and almost as good as they do, right? So understand that oftentimes when the question of case studies comes up, it's not so much about like the actual case study. It's just understanding, would other people trust you, and do you know your shit, right? Oftentimes, as a little recap, when you have the most case studies, the most social proof in life, the value and your sales ability is what carries the sale, not so much the social proof. And the final thing is, if it does come up, make sure that you meet the question with confidence. Make sure that you have a little presentation ready, so you can cover it right there and then on the call. You should never be walking away from the call promising to send them abiding to their request of you sending a case study after the call, right? You should never do that. You should meet it with confidence and boom, done. You said what?
I was just saying, or a proposal as well. Those are. Don't end the call and, hey, I'll send you a proposal. That's the worst thing you could do.
Yeah, if you think proposals is ever going to get you a deal, here's a rude awakening. They're not. I've literally never had a proposal that I sent after a call actually gone through, unless the client has reached out to me, right? If it's an inbound lead, I've had a few clients sign after, simply because I wasn't really invested too much into the sales process, so I just kind of sent it after, and that sale did go through, but that is an inbound lead, and that is very different to a very different dynamic than an outbound lead. With that being said, I think that's a wrap. That's a good way to wrap it up. If you want more tips like these, and maybe even a little document that we're going to put together with a little recap of this training, comment me down below. All right, comment me down below, and I'll go ahead and personally DM you and send you over a recap of some of the key things you need to understand to sign that first client with no results. So make sure that you comment down below me, and make sure that you drop a big thumbs up, because these are not short trainings, 24, 25, 30 minutes. And they're not easy to put together. So we appreciate that.
It was a good time. Thanks for watching, everybody.
You've been a little bit more quiet than usual, Tal. You want to wrap it up with with an incredible outro?
An incredible outro. Yeah.
Maybe a little dance.
If you. What was that?
Maybe a little dance, or maybe a little dance, or maybe a little
dance. Whip out the harmonica.
Like
if y'all aren't subscribed to the YouTube channel, go do that, because we're releasing some crazy videos coming soon.
Yeah. I think you should grace them with a little bit. Oh yeah, go ahead.
You want me to grace them with the harmonica?
No, but go ahead and do the actual.
I said I recorded a video. recently where I actually go undercover in a sales call, and it's sort of with someone that offers money back guarantees, promises results. Of course, everything's blurred out. You're never going to figure out who they are, but we're going to break that down, show you why it's not a good idea.
That's
Some
juicy
stuff
dude.
that's coming around the corner. Yeah.
That's very juicy. I'm excited to see
Undercover. This is why I had to grow the stash out. Undercover advice. You have to.
But do you have like is there no more to the disguise? Like a hat? You should have actually copped a hat. Like Sherlock Holmes vibe.
This and the aviator sunglasses.
And a pipe. he jump on that sales call with the hat and the pipe. Nice stash. that would raise a few questions.
Yeah, no. Once I'm done with my undercover op, I'll shave and I'll be back to normal Tal.
Hey, look, it looks good and it suits you.
I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you.
You do look a little bit like that Top Gun actor. What's his name? I haven't watched the movie. Not Tom Cruise, the other guy.
I haven't seen the movie either, but I've heard it's good.
Okay, let's raise him with a little bit of harmonica.
All right, hold on. Let me grab my harmonica.
For those people that actually stay till the end, we're gonna brace you with a little performance by Tal, and then we have to go.
It'll just be your face with the harmonica, okay? All right. Guys, if anyone can tell me,
wait, I need to edit this.
You win.
There we go.
Dang it! If anyone can tell me what movie this is from, you win the contest.
Oh wait, you don't want the okay.
It's been a while.
Yeah, this is Titanic, bro. I got it. You guys are just not on my level.
What's that from?
How do you get that so fast? Titanic. Is it not? Is it not the Titanic? It is, I swear.
No, it's not the Titanic.
The guy had a harmonica and he played that song. Is it not?
Maybe he played the Lord of the Rings song from Titanic. But here, I'll do one more for you.
Oh, that's okay. This is actually live.
It's been so long, man. I'm rusty. That was Star Wars. That was the start of Star Wars. But yes, this is actually live.
Is this even a question? Of course it's live. We just went live and we showed you how to sign the first client with no results. And then we braced you with an incredible performance by Tal for those of you who stayed till the end. So yeah, we're gonna wrap it up here. If, as I said, if you wanna get that document from me personally, DM to you, just go ahead and comment me. And with that being said, Tal, appreciate you. Thank you guys for tuning in. And yeah, speak soon. Bye-bye.